are moments in the architecture of eternity when the sky softens, when the cosmos inhales, and something ancient inside you begins to glow again. This is one of those moments. Venus, the celestial embodiment of love, beauty, devotion, and divine magnetism, has crossed the threshold into Pisces, the final sign of the Zodiac, the ocean where all stories dissolve and become myth. And you feel it. You may not have the language yet, but you feel the water rising. Because when Venus enters Pisces, she does not walk, she floats. She dissolves boundaries. She whispers to the forgotten chambers of the heart. She awakens the part of you that still believes in destiny, in soul recognition, in love that feels like remembering. This is not casual attraction. This is karmic poetry. At 0 Pisces, Venus enters the waters of transcendence, the point of surrender. And as she moves deeper into this mutable ocean, she approaches her exaltation, the place in the Zodiac where her love becomes unconditional, spiritual, cosmic. Venus in Pisces does not love for validation. She loves for salvation. And 3 Zodiac archetypes, 3 soul blueprints, are standing at the edge of a sacred shoreline right now, about to meet a love that feels written before they were born. But this love will not arrive in the way the ego expects. It will arrive like a mirror. It will arrive like a memory. It will arrive like a dream that refuses to fade. The reason is simple, yet mystical. Pisces is ruled by Neptune, the planet of illusion, divine longing, spiritual transcendence, and soul merging. Under Neptune's gaze, reality softens. The rational mind loosens its grip. The heart begins to speak in symbols. And Venus, the archetypal lover, thrives here. When she enters the sign, love stops being transactional. It becomes transcendental. You may find yourself longing differently, craving deeper intimacy, yearning for spiritual connection over physical validation, feeling more intuitive, more romantic, more vulnerable. You are not becoming weak. You are becoming porous to destiny, because Venus in Pisces is the archetype of the divine beloved, the mystic who sees the sacred in the other, the lover who does not chase, but magnetizes through softness. And for 3 Zodiac signs, this transit is not simply romantic. It is initiatory. If you are one of them, you are about to experience love as a rebirth, not just falling in love, but dissolving into it. Yet before we name them, you must understand something deeper. Venus entering Pisces activates the final house of the Zodiac wheel, the place of karma, endings, spiritual surrender, and past life resonance. This is where unfinished love stories resurface, where soul contracts awaken, where the heart chooses to forgive, release, or merge. Some of you will meet someone who feels strangely familiar, as if your nervous system recognizes them before your mind does, as if time bends when you speak, as if you are not meeting for the first time, but continuing a story interrupted. Others will experience a healing of the heart so profound that it feels like a resurrection, because Pisces is the archetype of the ocean, and the ocean does not judge what it holds. It simply absorbs, cleanses, and renews. And Venus moving through these sacred waters is asking you a question. Are you ready to love without armor? Are you ready to let yourself be seen beyond the persona? Are you ready to receive the kind of love you once thought only existed in dreams? For 3 Zodiac signs, this is not hypothetical. It is imminent. The cosmos is rearranging meetings, synchronizing encounters, softening defenses, opening timelines. But dream love is not fantasy love. It requires surrender, and surrender requires courage, because when Venus swims through Pisces, she tests one thing above all. Can you love without controlling the outcome? Can you trust what you feel? Can you recognize when destiny is knocking, even if it arrives disguised as vulnerability? The sky right now is an altar. Venus at early degrees of Pisces forms subtle harmonic aspects to water placements and mutable signs. She is amplifying empathy, heightening intuition, dissolving the walls around the heart chakra. You may be crying more easily. You may be remembering past lovers. You may feel pulled toward music, art, poetry, or late-night reflections. This is not regression. It is preparation. Because dream love does not enter a guarded temple. It enters a surrendered one. And if you are one of the 3 Zodiac signs about to experience this, your life will not look the same by the time Venus leaves Pisces. You will not love the same. You will not fear the same. You will not settle the same. You are standing at the shoreline of a karmic tide, and the wave is coming. The ocean has begun to whisper your name, not loudly, not dramatically, but in the quiet hours, when the world softens and the noise fades, something inside you feels stirred. A current, a pull, a knowing that love is no longer meant to be pursued. But remember, Venus has entered Pisces, and this is not merely a transit, it is a dissolving. When Venus crosses into Pisces, she steps into the final sign of the Zodiac, the realm where identities blur and souls recognize each other beyond form. Pisces is the 12th archetype, the keeper of dreams, the guardian of karmic memory, the sacred ocean that holds every love story ever lived. And here, Venus is exalted. Here, she is not limited by ego or transaction. She becomes divine longing, sacred romance. Under this sky, love does not knock on the door. It rises like mist from within. Venus at early degrees of Pisces begins her journey in the territory ruled by Neptune, the great dissolver, the planet of transcendence and illusion. Neptune's influence is subtle but powerful. It removes edges. It blurs logic. It invites surrender. When Venus swims in these waters, attraction becomes intuitive. You may lock eyes with someone and feel history in the silence. You may hear a voice and feel your nervous system soften. You may dream of someone before you meet them. This is not fantasy. This is resonance. Because Pisces governs the unseen connections, the threads that bind souls across lifetimes. When Venus activates this space in the collective field, karmic love stories surface. Not all are meant to stay, but all are meant to awaken something dormant within you. 3 zodiac archetypes are standing at the edge of this awakening. The first are the water souls, especially Pisces and Cancer placements, those who already live close to the emotional current. For them, Venus entering Pisces feels like homecoming. If you carry strong Pisces in your chart, this transit activates your identity. You glow differently. You magnetize without trying. People see something softer in you, something luminous. Your aura becomes receptive. You may notice strangers opening up to you, old lovers resurfacing, or a new presence entering your life with uncanny timing. But this is not about being chosen. It is about choosing yourself in a higher octave. Venus crossing your sun, ascendant, or personal planets is a blessing. But Pisces teaches that love must be unconditional first toward the self. If you abandon your boundaries in the name of romance, this transit will feel intoxicating and confusing. But if you honor your intuition and move slowly, dream love becomes embodied love. Cancer, too, feels this way deeply. For you, Venus in Pisces activates your 9th house of destiny and spiritual expansion if you are Cancer rising. Love may come through travel, education, spiritual communities, or someone from a different culture or background. This is the kind of connection that expands your worldview. It feels larger than comfort, larger than familiarity. It invites you to grow beyond your emotional safety zones. And then there are the Earth souls, Taurus and Capricorn placements, who may be surprised by how deeply this transit affects them. Pisces forms a harmonious sextile to Taurus and a supportive sextile to Capricorn. This means opportunities arise softly, almost magically. For Taurus, this energy activates your social sphere and future visions. A friend may become something more. A community may introduce you to someone who aligns with your long-term dreams. Love feels aligned with your path. Capricorn, you are being asked to soften your armor. Venus in Pisces lights up your communication sector if you are Capricorn. Rising, conversations become vulnerable. You may express feelings you have long kept guarded. Someone may confess emotions that shift everything. This is not the time to retreat into stoicism. It is the time to let yourself be seen in your humanity. And then there is Scorpio. Scorpio, this transit is electric for you. Pisces forms a trine to your sign, a flowing, harmonious current that opens the heart chakra. If you are Scorpio rising or have strong Scorpio placements, Venus in Pisces activates your 5th house of romance, creativity, and pleasure. This is one of the most powerful romantic alignments you can experience. Attraction feels magnetic. Sexual chemistry blends with emotional depth. But more importantly, this love feels safe. Release control. Are you willing to allow love to unfold without interrogation? Pisces asks you to trust the feeling before you analyze it. But discernment is still required. Neptune's influence can blur red flags if you ignore your intuition. Dream love is not delusion, but it requires clarity of heart. The key is this: if the connection inspires you to become more compassionate, more creative, more spiritually aligned, it is aligned. If it makes you anxious, uncertain, or disconnected from yourself, pause. True Pisces love feels like exhaling. As Venus moves deeper into Pisces, approaching the middle degrees, her energy intensifies. Music may feel more emotional, art more profound. You may cry during a song you've heard 100 times. You may remember old loves not with pain, but with forgiveness, because this transit is also about healing. Some of you will not meet someone new. You will meet yourself again, the version of you that once believed in magic, the version of you that loved without fear, the version of you that knew your heart was sacred. Venus in Pisces restores that innocence, not the naive kind, but the spiritually wise kind, the kind that understands pain yet still chooses love. The cosmos is not randomly shifting, it is orchestrating. If you are one of the 3 archetypes most activated, Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio, or if these signs dominate your chart, this is your season of softened destiny. But even if they do not, Venus in Pisces touches everyone. It dissolves collective hardness. It increases empathy. It awakens longing. And longing is sacred, because longing is the soul remembering what it came here to experience. Love is not a distraction from your path right now. It is part of your evolution. The question is not whether dream love exists. The question is whether you are ready to recognize it when it arrives, not as fireworks, not as chaos, but as calm recognition. A gaze that lingers, a hand that fits, a silence that feels safe. Venus in Pisces is not here to rush you. She is here to soften you, to remind you that strength is not always resistance. Sometimes, strength is surrender. And somewhere, perhaps closer than you think, a soul is feeling this same tide rising. The ocean is moving both of you closer. There comes a moment in every great love story when the heart stands at the edge of itself, not at the edge of romance, at the edge of control. And this is that moment. Venus has now moved deeper into Pisces, beyond the surface shimmer, beyond the initial intoxication, and into the middle degrees where illusion and truth begin their sacred dance. This is where the dream either dissolves or becomes destiny, because Pisces is not just fantasy, it is faith, and faith is terrifying to the ego. As Venus swims through these waters, she forms subtle currents with Saturn, the karmic gatekeeper, reminding you that dream love must be embodied to endure. You may feel the shift now. What once felt purely magical begins asking for vulnerability. Conversations deepen, silences grow heavier, but more meaningful. The question beneath the surface becomes clear. Can you love without performing? Can you be chosen without shape-shifting? This is where the initiation begins. For Pisces souls, this wave feels like standing naked in moonlight. The romantic fog has lifted just enough for you to see your own patterns, the tendency to overgive, the instinct to merge too quickly, the quiet fear of abandonment that whispers beneath even the most spiritual connection. Venus in your sign is blessing you, yes, but she is also refining you. She is teaching you that unconditional love does not mean unconditional access. You are not meant to dissolve into another. You are meant to expand beside them. Cancer, this wave activates your courage. The safety you crave cannot be built through emotional prediction. It must be built through presence. If someone has entered your life during this transit, they are not here to rescue you. They are here to meet you, and meeting requires that you reveal the deeper layers, the childhood echoes, the protective shell, the quiet longing to be held without having to hold everything together. Scorpio, this is your transformation point. The trine from Pisces to your sign has opened your heart. But now, Venus asks you to trust what you feel without testing it. You are accustomed to intensity, to probing the depths, to sensing hidden motives, but dream love does not survive interrogation. It survives transparency. You do not need to control what is already aligned. And here is the archetypal truth beneath this transit. Venus in Pisces is the priestess of the ocean temple. She does not chase, she magnetizes, but magnetism requires alignment. If you are still clinging to an old story, an old heartbreak, an outdated belief about your worth, a narrative that says love always leaves, this is where it surfaces to be released. Because Pisces governs the 12th house of karma, subconscious patterns, and spiritual closure. As Venus moves through this realm, she illuminates what has been hidden in your emotional basement. Old lovers may reappear, not to restart the story, but to close it properly. Dreams may intensify, revealing symbols of water, drowning, flying, or reunion. You may feel waves of emotion without clear cause. This is purification, not punishment. The ocean must stir before it clears, and as this purification unfolds, something remarkable begins to happen. Your standards rise not from ego, but from self-awareness. You no longer crave chaos disguised as chemistry. You no longer romanticize inconsistency. You begin to recognize that true dream love feels calm, grounded, mutual, not through logic, through resonance. And resonance cannot be faked. As Venus approaches the later degrees of Pisces in the coming weeks, she prepares to complete her journey through the Zodiac's final sign. This is the completion of a love cycle, the closing of an emotional chapter that began a year ago when Venus last passed through this sector of your chart. Look back, who were you in love with then? What did you believe about relationships? What were you tolerating? Now look at yourself. You are not the same. You are softer, but stronger, more intuitive, but less reactive, more open, but less desperate. This is growth. This is the phoenix rising not from fire but from water. The ego burns, the soul dissolves, and what remains is authenticity. Venus in Pisces is not here to give you a fairy tale. She is here to make you the kind of person who can sustain sacred love, the kind who knows when to stay, the kind who knows when to release, the kind who understands that dream love is not found. It is matched. And somewhere in this vast cosmic ocean, another heart is undergoing the same initiation, the same softening, the same surrender. The tides are aligning, but one final wave remains. Now the tide settles, not because the magic is over, but because it has integrated. Venus is approaching the final degrees of Pisces, the anoretic zone, the 27th, 28th, 29th degrees, where energy becomes distilled, concentrated, undeniable in astrology. The last degrees of any sign represent mastery, completion, a test of embodiment. Whatever Venus has been teaching you since she entered Pisces is no longer theoretical. It is lived. This is where dream love becomes real, or reveals why it cannot. By now, the illusions have thinned. The emotional waves have clarified what is fantasy and what is alignment. If a connection formed under this transit, it is either stabilizing into something grounded and mutual, or it is gently dissolving without chaos. That is the signature of mature Pisces energy. There is no dramatic collapse, only truth surfacing. For Pisces placements, this is personal culmination. Venus crossing the final degrees of your sign is asking, have you learned the difference between compassion and self-sacrifice, between spiritual chemistry and emotional projection? If you have, you will notice a new standard forming inside you, not rigid, but firm. You are no longer willing to abandon yourself in order to keep love. That shift alone changes everything. Cancer. This phase brings clarity around the future. If someone has entered your life, conversations now move toward practical direction. Where is this going? How do we build it? Pisces energy may have initiated the bond, but now the next sign, Aries, waits on the horizon. Action follows surrender. You are being prepared not just to feel love, but to choose it consciously. Scorpio. This is where trust solidifies. If you have allowed vulnerability during this transit, you may now experience something rare for you. Steadiness without boredom, emotional depth without power struggle. The trine from Pisces has softened your defenses, and what remains is discernment without paranoia. That is growth, that is evolution. But this final wave is not only about romantic partnership. Venus governs not just relationships, but self-worth. As she completes her journey through Pisces, she recalibrates how you value yourself. Many of you began this transit to craving connection. Now, you may find yourself craving alignment instead. The difference is subtle but profound. Connection can happen with many people. Alignment is rare. You are no longer asking, do they want me? You are asking, is this mutual? Is this healthy? Is this reciprocal? That is empowerment. During the final degrees of Pisces, Venus may form aspects that bring closure. Perhaps a final conversation, a realization, or a decision. Pay attention to synchronicities during this time. Pisces communicates through symbols, a song lyric that answers your doubt, a dream that confirms your intuition, a sudden calmness where anxiety once lived. The nervous system does not lie. If a love is meant for you, your body will feel regulated in its presence, not hyper-alert, not constantly questioning. Regulated. This is the real definition of dream love. Not obsession, not intensity, but emotional safety combined with spiritual depth. As Venus prepares to leave Pisces and enter Aries, the archetype shifts from surrender to initiation, from water to fire, but you cannot carry illusion into fire. Fire exposes everything. That is why why this final Pisces wave matters so much. It cleanses what would not survive action. Some of you will walk forward with someone beside you. Some of you will walk forward alone, but lighter. Neither outcome is failure, because the real gift of this transit is not securing a partner. It was upgrading your capacity for love. Look at who you were before Venus entered Pisces. Perhaps guarded, perhaps tired, perhaps secretly doubting that the kind of love you imagined was possible. Now look at yourself. You have felt again. You have hoped again. You have risked vulnerability again. That alone is victory. Astrology is not fate in the rigid sense. It is timing. It reveals when certain archetypal doors are easier to open. Venus in Pisces opened the door to transcendent love, but you had to walk through it. You had to soften. You had to confront old wounds. You had to choose honesty over fantasy. That is co-creation with the cosmos. The three zodiac archetypes most activated by this transit, Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio, were not randomly chosen. Water signs understand emotional truth at a cellular level. This period was designed to remind you that your sensitivity is not a liability, it is a compass. For the rest of the zodiac, Pisces activated specific houses in your chart, the area of life where surrender was required. For some, it was romance. For others, friendship, creativity. But in every case, the lesson was the same. Love flows where resistance ends. As Venus reaches 29 Pisces, the final karmic degree, you may feel a quiet sense of closure. Not dramatic, not loud. Just an inner knowing that something has completed. An old chapter of longing has ended. An outdated belief about love has dissolved. And in its place is maturity. You now understand that dream love is not about being saved. It is about being met. It is not about fantasy. It is about resonance. It is not about losing yourself. It is about sharing yourself. When Venus crosses into Aries, the energy will quicken. New desires will spark. Decisions will be made. But the softness you cultivated in Pisces will remain as wisdom. You will move forward differently, more direct, but also more aware of your emotional needs. This is the final truth of this transit. The universe did not send you dream love to distract you. It sent it to calibrate you, to show you what alignment feels like, to remind you that you are worthy of connection, that feels peaceful, mutual, and inspired. If someone is meant to walk beside you, they will rise to meet the standard you now embody. If they do not, you will not chase, because you understand something deeper now. Love is not something you beg for. It is something you embody and therefore attract. Venus in Pisces was the initiation. What comes next is action.